welcome to another video. Today I want to take you on a bit of a journey with regards to the EOS M. I've had this camera for about 2 or 3 years now, and I've been, like you, one of the people who has trawled YouTube trying to figure out what is the best way to actually use this camera. What is the best way to get the best image quality out of it, the best settings, the best gear, and everything like that. And I've bought rails and follow focuses and all sorts of different things to try and rig this thing out to make it usable and to make it a cinema camera, which is what we're all chasing here. That's the classic thumbnail. It's the $200 cinema camera that shoots RAW. But recently I came to a bit of a realization with this, and I thought, if I'm going to actually use the EOS M, it's not going to be for some sort of professional shooter. It's not going to be for some paid shoot. It's not reliable enough for that. Magic Lantern, while it is awesome, it is untrustworthy in a sense. And so what am I actually using this camera for? Why do I keep this camera? And the conclusion I came to is that I want to use this camera to really up level or upskill my personal content creation. So the stuff that I'm doing for holidays, weekends away, time out with friends, all that sort of stuff, I want to use that to capture those sorts of moments in a much more cinematic way. And so because of that, I decided I need to declutter. I needed to sell all of the gear that I bought to use it, because it takes too long to set up, it takes too long to use, it's awkward, and I need to get something that's quick, minimalistic, and I'm going to want to take with me every time I go out the door. And so I decided that I wanted just to go for a one lens setup, and I wanted to make sure that the lens was a few things. It needed to obviously be sharp, needed to have a low f-stop, and it needed to be small. And so I decided to go with the TTartisans 35mm 1.4, and this lens is many things, and many of those things are good, and that's the whole point of this video. I want to go through the build quality, the aesthetics of the lens, because we got to make sure that our EOS M is aesthetically pleasing. I want to go through the image quality. I want to go through some of the cons of this lens, which I think aren't very good, but I also want to go through how much this lens costs, because for the price, this lens is absolutely a no-brainer for you and your EOS M. So thanks for jumping in, and let's dig into it. All right, let's get into the build quality of this lens. If you guys have bought a TTartisan lens before, you know that the build quality of these things are pretty significant. These manual metal Chinese lenses are pretty impressive in terms of the build quality. Now this one has a pretty strange little snout on it. You can see here the indenting design, which is kind of strange, and this here is the focus ring, which is kind of a strange place to have it. We're used to having it near the end of the lens, but that's actually where the aperture for this lens is. So build quality is really good. The way that the lens moves is actually really smooth, considering its low price tag. And I just want to talk about this placement here of the focus ring for a second. Initially I thought it was really kind of dumb, and I didn't really like it, but then I figured out that it actually allows me to kind of, particularly on a gimbal or holding the camera, it actually allows me to pull focus with this finger here from the top, which is a kind of an interesting little way of shooting. I found it to be quite pleasing, and I think this lens offers a unique way of pulling focus, which is actually not too bad. So build quality is good. The aesthetics are quite good. I like this. I decided to get the silver to match the silver of my EOS M, and yeah, love the build quality, which is really good. So in terms of how useful it is, I kind of already spoke about that, but I think the usefulness is pretty good. It's got a pretty decent focus throw on it, which is helpful for getting those fine focus shots. And like I spoke about, the finger on top, I think that's actually a pretty smart way of using this camera, or using this lens rather, with this camera. So very useful in my opinion. Let's get into image quality. Alright, let's talk about image quality. So just 3 points here I want to raise with regards to the image quality of the TTartisans 35mm F1.4. Firstly is the sharpness of this lens. It's a very budget option for the EOS M, and as you can see from some of the shots here, the center sharpness of this lens is just ridiculous. Like here on the bike, that is just, you don't need any sharper than that. It's crazy. So the center sharpness of this lens is pretty good, and across the frame it's actually pretty good as well. Now the bokeh, I found the bokeh to be very pleasing. It's very smooth. It's very there's a nice kind of consistency to it. It kind of plays well with the highlight roll off, or the filmic highlight roll off you get with the EOS M, and I found the colors to be fairly neutral across the kind of spectrum. So really great image quality from this lens for such a budget price. So want to talk now about some of the cons of this lens. And really, so far, all I've found is one, and that is the front filter thread. You're going to see on here that my step-up ring, which is an abnormal size. I think it's a 39mm, which was one that I actually found it quite difficult to get a step-up ring to 52mm, and then I had to do 52 to 58 for my ND filter. But this front thread is, I don't know if it's like this on all cameras or if on all lenses, or if this lens is particularly bad, but just could not get that filter thread to stay on there. It would kind of screw on, but then it would just pull out. It's almost like it's maybe a 40mm or something like that. It's just a little bit too big. So what I ended up doing was just putting some good old-fashioned blue tack in there to hold that in, and believe it or not, that's actually a fairly robust solution. I haven't had it slip or fall or anything yet. So seems counterintuitive to kind of be putting blue tack all over a brand new lens, but that's what I had to do to make sure that this could actually work. So as you're going to get with kind of cheap Chinese lenses, the build quality of each lens is going to vary from lens to lens, so you're just rolling the dice a little bit with that. But lastly, we just want to talk about price of this lens. This lens is ridiculous for an f1.4 that's actually sharp at 1.4 and usable. For it to be under $100, 100 Australian dollars on eBay is just, it's an absolute steal. Now I don't know why you wouldn't want to buy this lens, considering how small it is, how useful it is, how sharp it is. And for $100, it just kind of makes the overall package of the EOS M very sleek, very usable, and it makes me want to take this camera with me wherever I go. So guys, this is a lens that I think you should purchase. I would recommend to anyone. I'm actually looking into maybe buying the 17mm and then the other 35mm of this for my Fuji, just to kind of bring the overall package of my Fuji down as well. And also looking into buying some of them for the Pocket 4K as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions about this lens, put them down below and I'll try and answer them for you. Other than that, it's $100. It's $100 well spent, I think. The only thing I'd say is if you're going to do it soon, because shipping does take a little bit with these Chinese lenses because they're coming generally from overseas. But yeah, so that's the video. That's the way I'm going to start using the EOS M now, in a small package to capture the not necessarily a product, a commercial or a shoot, professional shoot, but I want to use it to actually capture the small moments in my life, and just to make small, clips for Instagram and stuff like that. But really dig into that sort of raw potential that this thing gives in a very small form factor. So thanks for tuning in and have a great day.